joined here today by members of the Unified Command Team and to give you an update on the recovery operations here in the Potomac River. I'm joined today by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Colonel Francis Pera, and U.S. Coast Guard Captain Patrick Burkett, as well as the Metropolitan Police Department Assistant Chief Jeffrey Carroll, HTHEMA Deputy Director Justin Brown, the Fire Chief for the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority, Rick Bonnet, the Police Chief for the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority, Police Major Tim Moore, the Maryland State Police First Sergeant John Pietenza, and the U.S. Army Deputy Director of Aviation, Colonel Mark Ott. We have the next slide. So overnight, we've been conducting search and rescue operations, or really since our last update, and these operations have continued with our regular partners from the region, as well as some of the assets that have arrived on scene. During our salvage surveys in preparation to lift the aircraft, additional remains were located and removed from the river and taken to the medical examiner's office. So far, 55 victims have been positively identified from this aircraft, or from this accident. The NTSB, American, and PSA Airlines, as well as district officials, Red Cross, and some other support organizations are continuing to support the families at the Family Assistance Center and during a site visit. So far, the only injury on this event that we have to report is that one of the Metropolitan Police Department divers was transported to an area hospital to be checked out after a hypothermia situation. We're happy to report that he's doing fine, and that's the only injury we have. Today, for the rest of the day, the salvage crews are continuing to survey the site and get ready for tomorrow. Can we have the next slide? So going forward tomorrow, and you're going to get more from the Army Corps of Engineers about this, is salvage equipment will be moved into place, and tomorrow there'll be some lifting operations on what's the wreckage that's in the water. While that's going on, the local teams will continue to search down the shorelines and around the river to make sure that we're getting all the debris that's out there. And if by chance, as a member of the public, you come across some of that, you should call 911 and report it to them, and we will get it taken care of and get it examined. Next slide. So our first responders, all the people that are coming in here to support, this is a tough operation, and we want you to know, and if you're a responder listening to this, we want you to know that you can have a lot of different feelings about this, and there's people out here to help you. So each of our organizations have peer support. The Unified Command is coordinating peer support for the responders as they work. And you can easily talk to a trained mental health professional by dialing 988 at the Crisis Lifeline. And we would like everybody to look out for each other during this time, check in on your neighbors, that there are a lot of people that are being affected by this tragedy in our community. Additionally, if you want to contribute to the relief fund, the Greater Washington Community Foundation has a relief fund. It's tinyurl.com/DCA together. And that is a legitimate site that you can use to donate if that's a way you do want to help. With that, I'd like to call up Colonel Pena, and he's got a brief.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Colonel Francis Pera. I'm the commander of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Baltimore District. I'd first like to say that really our hearts and minds remain with the victims of this tragic incident. I also really want to thank the cooperation that we're getting at the local, state, and federal level. This is an incredible joint response effort. Right now, the Corps of Engineers, together with the Coast Guard, the U.S. Navy's Supervisor of Salvage and Diving, or SUPSALV, we're leading the effort to clear the wreckage from the Potomac River as part of a larger interagency effort. Before I can explain how this wreckage removal will work, I just want to make sure that everyone is crystal clear, understanding that all salvage operations will be completed in close coordination with the Unified Command. All of our partners, just really to ensure strict adherence to our central priority that the dignified recovery of missing flight passengers and personnel take precedence, right? And should any remains be found during our process, an automatic work stoppage happens, and we will definitely begin the proper coordination with the appropriate authorities. So reuniting those lost in the tragic incident is really what keeps us all going. We've got teams that have been working this effort since the beginning, and we're committed to making this happen. So our teams over the past couple of days have been really doing the preparatory work to make sure that we're doing this the best way possible. There's an iterative process that we go through that starts with really the dive survey process to really understand. I've got a small graphic that we're sharing with some of you here. That first piece is a sonar piece. We've got a wide debris field. Within that wide debris field, we're employing different techniques to make sure that we can understand what's in the water. Once we've localized really the larger items that we want to focus on, that really starts to shape our dive effort. Our dive effort is there with some very trained personnel. These are personnel who have a lot of experience. Many of you in the local area are familiar with the response that we had at the Francis Scott Key Bridge. It's very similar in the capability and experience that we brought there. This dive team goes down, they look and they do their prep and work to make sure that they can establish a great salvage plan. Once they build that salvage plan, we'll spend the next period of planning and preparation to prepare for our lift plan. That's where we're at today. Today is our second day of survey in the water. I think we've done everything to set the conditions for a successful lift starting tomorrow morning. We anticipate that we'll start at first light. Right now, if you look out in the Potomac, you'll see that all of our equipment and personnel are in place. We've completed our rehearsals, and all the processes that I talked about previously have been rehearsed to a T with all of our joint partners. As we go through that, when we begin the lift process tomorrow, our goal is to really lift as much as we can, given the fact that we are also accounting for the human remains component. And then our goal is to then transfer those pieces of equipment over to a flatbed trailer that will now take it over to a designated hangar so that the investigation can begin. At that point, we're going to reassess. We'll repeat this operation. It's really just a reminder that we're extremely deliberate about how we're approaching this, and we're doing this in partnership with each member of the Unified Command with the victims in mind. I'll stand by for any questions you all may have, and I'll be followed by Captain Pat Burkett from the U.S.